So, I'm going to start. So, I'm Emmanuel Routier, so I'm from Orange Business Services. I'm heading the International Machine-to-Machine Center within Orange. And I'm going to take you through the customer experience and how at Orange, basically we do try to level up, I would say, the customer experience. So, my presentation today will be around 3 points and the conclusion. First part is about, a quick overview about Orange, and with more specific focus, on the M2M space, and then, on the Orange Mobile Enterprise, which is a new entity that we just set up, to focus on the mobility services for international customers. Then second, the challenges and the needs that we have identified, and we talked about that, today already, but it's just, I would say, a list that I want to share with you. I think it gives, indeed, I would say, some good elements about what we need to address as an industry in order to indeed, provide the best customer experience possible. And then, what kind of response, do we bring to the industry, I would say, alone or together, with partners. So first, here we go. Good. So, just to give you some figures in nutshells, with regards to our group, so the Orange Group. So it's, we have 226 million customers all over the place in the world. We make, I would say, around 43.5 billion euros in terms of revenue. It was 2012. We have 33 mobile operations in the world. So in Europe, that's right. That was our core, I would say, activities, but also in the rest of the world, especially in Africa and Middle East. We are indeed, also focused on international customers with more than 3,700 customers, multinational customers. We are present in 220 countries, so meaning that even though we don't have mobile operations everywhere or fixed operations, we have indeed, I would say, people in the street and providing solutions to international customers. We are a group of 170,000 employees, so with a lot of people in Europe, but you're going to see that we are also present in other countries. And more specifically, with regards to machine-to-machine, it's a team of more than 200 people doing only machine-to-machine, and also I would say having, I would say, support from 4,000 lab researchers that we had, in Europe, but also in the US and China. So that was our figures. Now, Orange Business Services, in a nutshell, so it's basically the entity taking care of the B2B business of Orange all over the place. Of course, in France, we have the whole, I would say, segments and go to all the different customers, from very small to the big ones. But in the 220 countries where we are present, we do address international customers and multinational ones. So we have 2.7 million customers B2B among the 226 we just talked about earlier, and around 20,000 employees, about the 270 I just mentioned earlier too. And we do around 7 billion euro on the B2B part only. Okay. So we are, I would say, present in the 5 continents. So indeed, as I mentioned, France is indeed one of our core assets with regards to B2B, with 10,000 employees only on B2B. But then, we are also present, in the rest of Europe with more than 4,000 people, and then North America, Asia Pac, Russia too. So, one thing I wanted to share with you also is that, in February, this year, we announced the creation of the OME, which is the Orange Mobile Enterprise entity. And this Orange Mobile Enterprise entity is taking care of the international business of Orange, and for this international customer which do have specific needs, and not only, I would say, where we do have operations, but elsewhere too. And that was a way, indeed, to have a global footprint, to work on a more specialized way on mobility services, and to bring, to certain vertical solutions. There are some mentioned here, but we do also, I would say, health services, and some references, I'm sure about, like soaring and pacemaker and others. And that's basically, the purpose of the OME, sorry. That's the target those international accounts and to provide mobility services to them. So now, if we go indeed, to the M2M space, more specifically, So we have a plan, which is to address around 10 million SIM cards, in 2015, and to be above that figures. We are on the right pace. Actually, we grow, on a 50%, on year basis. And we have, I would say today, 3 million SIM cards, without the UK, because you know that in the UK, Orange, has merged, with T-Mobile, and it's called now Everything Everywhere, and so we don't count, those figures into our figures. So indeed, we would be then, much closer to 4 million. But anyway, so on the international part, I'm sure, we heard about that. The market is there, the growth is there. Meaning that we see requests, RFPs in the field where we have to respond to international companies. And we have signed 4.8 million SIMs. But it takes time to get that implemented. Those international companies sometimes have their own processes. We have to change their products. And I felt a bit also this kind of frustration in the industry this morning, that it takes time. Indeed, it's complex sometimes for the customers to implement the service. Because of us, and we have to take care of that, but also because of their own processes, their own time-to-market processes. And for example, on the health sector, you have to go through approval. It takes more than 3 years to get an approval, I would say, defibrillator, connected defibrillator. So can you imagine that? That's another way of doing business than the one we've been doing so far. So those are elements we have also to consider in the M2M space. So we also work on certified model, and we have some references, that we do mention, recent elements. On the left-hand side, we see the partnerships, which is very important to us. I'll come back to that. And also, some key deals that we did sign recently. I would say in certain regions where we have mobile operation, but also elsewhere, like Qualcomm Life, it's a US company that we did sign indeed, for European footprint and worldwide footprint outside the US. So that's going to be, I would say, the end of the elements on the presentation on Orange. I'm going to go, to the specific matters, of my presentation. So partnership is very important to us. As Orange. We proved that in the past, with FreeMove. It's a partnership which took place, I would say, many years ago to address international companies. And we already identified at that time, but we couldn't, although we were big, we couldn't address the whole needs of our customers. Those international companies coming to us and say, guys, have solutions, in Italy, have solutions, in Germany. We don't have footprint. I want a local number. So that's how we put that, I would say, we made that possible with the FreeMove Alliance. And we kind of build up, the same kind of approach, on the M2M domain. Because we have the same issue. Of course, we can have roaming SIM, and I'll talk about that. It addresses, part of the needs, but we can't address the whole need. We can't support the whole industry moving forward in the M2M space without, I would say, partnering. And that's the purpose of the GMA, the Global M2M Association, which was announced in June 2011, so it's already, I would say, quite a long time ago, but also reinforced last year, with Telia joining us, and hopefully, some good announcements, in the coming months. So it's about, cooperation to improve the services we can deliver to our own customers. We still compete on the global, I would say, roaming solutions, but we do secure that we have the right solutions to make those customers, being successful and deploying their solution. So, what are the challenges and the needs, of a customer, to have the best customer experience possible? So, you understood that, I already talked about that, but global deals are a reality. And OEM, so originally equipment manufacturers, so we see them in the automotive sector, but in other sectors too, like consumer electronic devices or whatever. They are coming to us, and bringing new challenges. And of course, international coverage is one of the first one. Then, of course, roaming then come together, because SIM has the power to roam, and so basically, it comes with it. And so we need indeed, to address the specific needs in terms of international coverage and roaming needs, okay? Then, quality of service. Those guys, international players, they also have specific requests, It's their core business. I'm not going to say that the defibrillator, that we do connect, they rely, on the telecommunication, to defibrillate, the patient. That's not right. it's autonomous, they do it on the right basis, But just send information, once a day and secure, that this information installed, on a secured way somewhere and accessible, to the doctors, okay? But it has to be reliable, We need to secure that this information is there. It can cope with our telecommunication industry, and we have outages, we all have outages, but we have to work on that and to improve that, okay? But in any case, quality of service is core. Then, if you base your service on roaming, it's best effort. So that's one downside, that. So you have technical solutions to use several networks to make that happen, but still, roaming is best effort. Then, of course, they are coming to you and also asking, hey guys, I want also transparency in terms of the tools and that you put in place, and if I have several providers. I want also, interoperability, with the different networks. I want to get it working, on the different networks. And finally, I want standards. And that's something, which is going to help them, to take the right choice, to be quicker. So, now when we go to the solutions, the services, we do provide a mobile operator. We provide portal, we provide SIMs, customer cares, APNs. But then, if you go to several operators, you don't have the same. Those are different elements. Of course, there are some platforms, alliance we talked about, but still, we have different ones, and it brings indeed complexity to them too. So, now you have also new usage coming, on top of the different elements we saw before. Broadband, with digital signage, for example, automotive infotainment, we just talked about, with Jacques before. And all those, I would say, guys, that you see in terms of logos, those guys they have those questions. They want answers. And linked to that, you have also the B2B issue that we just talked about. So, in a nutshell, so we see that the customers are asking for international coverage, high quality, unified customer experience with regards to the telecommunication services we're going to provide them with, broadband usages, and flexible business models. So with regards to customer experience, those are the key elements we need to take also to try to secure and to bring those different elements to the next level, I would say, and secure that they're going to feel comfortable with the service we're going to deliver them with. So, in terms of the last point, which is what are the solutions and the response we can bring to those kind of needs. So what do we do? So to be competitive, we need to change our models and capabilities. So we have to streamline and modelize an ecosystem which is fragmented. We have a role to play, but we are not alone in this space. And you have also to build up specific capabilities to address these new and demanding customer requests that we just listed. Okay? Then comes the solution, and then we worked out the association, which is a GMA with the Dutch Telecom I mentioned. It's the Global M2M Association, in order to address those types of needs. Not only, many others also to come because they are work in progress, but I want to share with you some concrete elements which makes, I would say, the life of our customers different. By the way, the vision of the GMA was exactly indeed to deliver best-in-class service with seamless M2M services, globally, meaning that outside our footprint, to maximize the benefits for our customers. So that's exactly the purpose of that, the icon. It's to address and to improve the customer experience of our customers. So, we talked about the environment, growing, global, fragmented, vertical, standardization. Then business requirements, we talked about that. I went through that, very quickly. Then, I also, I would say, shared with you the different elements we need to change. And now, let's take, I would say, a first example of concrete elements we put in place. So, GMA, with the different solutions and enablers we put in place, we are able to go beyond roaming. And so with roaming, it's best effort. Indeed, you can use different networks, but still, it's best effort. In the past, when you have a business customers going abroad, they use their BlackBerry, iPhone, whatever, it might not be working. It happens. It happens to all of us, We might forget to open a trouble ticket because we don't even know how to do that when we are abroad or whatever. So in general, it's not really well known. When you go back, you might say it to your operator, okay? So it takes time. And then, in the usual way, in roaming, we don't spend too much time in terms of addressing, those issues, in a short term. That's the way it has been done, so far. Of course, we put in place technical solutions to go from a network to another one in order to improve the service when one is down. But still, the issue on the previous one can still be there. So with GMA, we put in place, an aligned way to address incidents, on M2M. So we categorized M2M differently from the rest of the roaming services. We have classified them and prioritized them. We have SLO, service level operations, where basically, we kind of work on processes and improve the way of working among us on M2M, because we know it's critical. And that's, how we can improve the solutions we do deliver on our networks, even on a roaming team. So we have fault report and maintenance. We have simplified intergroups, escalation processes and communication levels. So that's very important. That's the way you can, in the field, improve the service you're going to deliver. And when you take together, the Orange, Deutsche Telekom, and TeliaSonera footprint in Europe, you see that it's indeed, quite significant. And still working on that, to also bring some new players on that. So that's one element, concretely, to improve the customer experience of our customers. Second one, it's about certification. We all have certified modem and modules. We talked about that. We all have figures, we share the figures, but we have different ones. And to give, I would say, the confidence to a customer to secure that indeed, those modules or modems are going to be working everywhere in Europe, you need to indeed, give some credentials, some elements, and that's, what we put in place. We don't have to redo the work that the German did, on certain modules. They don't have to do the work that we already did, on certain modules. That's how basically, can bring our strengths together in order to deliver those certified modules and secure that, they're going to be working on our footprint. There's no doubt about that. And so basically, it optimized the interoperability, of the combined footprint, because those modules are going to be working. Time to market is quicker also, because we can also share, the work on the certified on the certification modules, or the modules to be certified. We enhance, M2M services with indeed, differentiations, because we can deliver something to our customers which is different. We reduce the business risk. We increase certification capabilities by putting together, resources. And so we can also, and that's also something we think, as an industry is important. We can drive, best practices. We can push standards up. So those are two examples, basically that I wanted to share with you in terms of concrete elements that we have today in the field on the TeliaSonera, Deutsche Telekom, and Orange footprint. So now that's going to be my conclusion. First one, I hope, that you saw that we got organized to better address, the M2M international business with the Orange Mobile Enterprise. That's basically what I presented you, as an introduction. Second, there are clear business requirements which indeed, create expectation on the customers with regards to their experience on the solutions we're going to deliver them. And so, which leads to change the model we've been working so far. So we talked about the international coverage, quality of service, unified customer experience, and stuff like that. And so together with Deutsche Telekom, TeliaSonera, Orange, is bringing, a higher customer experience thanks to the operational processes that we put in place. But they are still work in progress. They are, we talked about platforms, we talked about ways to have better standards. So these are, working elements we need to also address in that kind of forum. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.